Marcus wiped grease from his hands with a torn cloth as the Imperial alarm shrieked through the massive space station. The sound meant only one thing. Something had gone terribly wrong with the Emperor's personal ship. Again! He grabbed his toolkit and ran toward the royal docking bay, his worn boots echoing against polished floors that cost more than his yearly wage. The Galactic Imperium stretched across 47 systems, ruled by Emperor Voss with an iron fist that had never known mercy. Humans were nothing more than servants, mechanics, and laborers in this vast alien empire. Marcus had been fixing their ships for 8 years, ever since the Imperium conquered Earth and scattered humanity across the stars. Queen Isabella Martinez watched from the observation deck high above the docking bay. She had been the leader of Earth's final resistance before their defeat, and now served as the reluctant human representative in the Emperor's court. Her presence was meant to keep the remaining humans in line, but she used every opportunity to gather intelligence and protect her people. Below, she could see the Emperor's daughter, Princess Zara, standing beside her father's damaged vessel. The girl hadn't spoken a word in 3 years, not since witnessing her mother's execution during the Altair Rebellion. The Emperor blamed the humans for his wife's death, though Isabella knew the truth was far more complicated. Marcus approached the ship cautiously. The hull bore scorch marks from what looked like an ambush. 3 of the Emperor's elite guards lay wounded nearby, their blue blood staining the deck. The Emperor himself stood rigid beside his ship, his forearms crossed in barely contained rage. "Fix it!" Emperor Voss growled in his native tongue, then switched to broken human English. "Now, or you join dead guards." Marcus nodded and began his inspection. The quantum drive had taken multiple hits from plasma weapons. Repair would require delicate work and at least 6 hours. As he worked, he noticed Princess Zara watching him with curious silver eyes. She was young, maybe 16 in human years, though alien aging was difficult to judge. The Emperor's communications officer rushed over with urgent news. A rebel fleet had been spotted 3 systems away, moving toward the capital. Emperor Voss cursed and stormed toward the command center, barking orders. Most of his entourage followed, leaving only a few guards to watch Marcus work. Princess Zara remained behind, sitting on a cargo crate about 10 feet from Marcus. She pulled her knees up and wrapped her arms around them, watching his every movement with intense focus. Her silence was legendary throughout the Imperium. Many believe she was mentally damaged from trauma. Isabella observed this interaction with growing interest. She had never seen the princess show curiosity about anything before. The girl usually moved through the palace like a ghost, attending ceremonies but never engaging with anyone. Marcus felt uncomfortable under the princess's stare but continued working. The quantum coils needed complete replacement and several power relays had fused. He hummed quietly as he worked, an old Earth song his mother used to sing. To his surprise, Princess Zara tilted her head at the melody. "That's amazing grace," Marcus said softly, not looking up from his repairs. "My mom sang it when I was scared." The princess said nothing, but she scooted slightly closer on her crate. Marcus continued humming while he worked, replacing damaged components with steady hands. Years of practice had made him one of the best human technicians in the fleet. Isabella noticed palace guards beginning to whisper among themselves. The sight of the Emperor's daughter sitting so close to a human laborer was unusual. In the rigid hierarchy of the Imperium, such interaction was practically forbidden. She hoped Marcus understood the delicate position he was in. The quantum drive hummed back to life as Marcus completed the primary repairs. Princess Zara applauded silently, clapping her hands without making sound. Marcus smiled at her and began packing his tools. "You have gentle hands," Princess Zara whispered in perfect English. Marcus dropped his wrench in shock. The metal tool clanged loudly against the deck, causing guards to look their way. Princess Zara's eyes widened in panic, and she pressed her hand to her mouth as if trying to take back her words. "I won't tell anyone," Marcus whispered back, pretending to search for another tool. "Your secret is safe." Relief flooded the princess's face. She mouthed, "Thank you," and stood to leave as footsteps approached. Emperor Voss returned with his full entourage, inspecting the completed repairs with grudging approval. "Good work, human," the Emperor said dismissively. "Report to Sector 7 tomorrow. More ships need fixing." As the royal party departed, Princess Zara glanced back at Marcus one final time. Isabella caught that look from above and felt something shift in her understanding of the situation. The Emperor's silent daughter wasn't just traumatized, she was choosing her silence as protection, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Marcus gathered his tools and headed back to the workers' quarters, unaware that he had just become part of something much larger than a simple repair job. Isabella remained on the observation deck long after everyone else had gone, staring at the empty docking bay and thinking about possibilities she had never considered before. The Imperium's greatest weakness might not be military or political. It might be the simple human capacity for kindness in the face of cruelty. The next morning brought news that would change everything. The rebel fleet had vanished from sensor range, suggesting they possessed new stealth technology. Emperor Voss ordered all human technicians to report for enhanced security screening, suspecting sabotage. Marcus arrived at the processing center with dozens of other workers, their faces grim with worry. Isabella watched from the administrative balcony as Imperial security forces separated humans into different groups. Those with access to sensitive systems faced interrogation, while others were assigned to labor details under armed guard. The Emperor's paranoia was growing, and humans always bore the brunt of his suspicion. Princess Zara appeared beside her father during the screening process, still maintaining her facade of silent observation. But Isabella noticed the girl's eyes tracking Marcus as he moved through the security lines. When guards roughly searched his toolkit, the princess's hands clenched into small fists. "The human Marcus Chen," called Security Chief Corvin, reading from his datapad. "You serviced the Emperor's personal vessel yesterday. Report for detailed questioning." Marcus stepped forward calmly, though Isabella could see tension in his shoulders. Corvin was notorious for his harsh treatment of human workers. 3 technicians had died under his questioning in the past year, officially from stress-related complications. The interrogation chamber was a sterile white room with a single chair bolted to the floor. Corvin activated recording devices and began his standard protocol of intimidation. Marcus answered each question truthfully: his work schedule, his access codes, his conversations with other humans. "You spent considerable time near the princess yesterday," Corvin observed, his reptilian features twisted in suspicion. "What did you discuss?" "Nothing," Marcus replied honestly. "She never spoke to me." Corvin's scanner indicated truth, but he pressed further. "The princess remained in your vicinity for over an hour. Explain this unusual behavior." Marcus shrugged carefully. "I couldn't say. I was focused on my work." Meanwhile, Princess Zara had slipped away from her father's entourage and made her way to the security center's observation room. Shh! She positioned herself where she could watch the interrogation through one-way glass, her face pale with worry. Isabella followed quietly, curious about the princess's obvious concern for a human mechanic. She found the girl pressed against the viewing window, tears streaming down her face as Corvin's questioning grew more aggressive. She cares about him, Isabella realized, though she kept this observation to herself. The interrogation continued for 2 hours without yielding any evidence of wrongdoing. Corvin was forced to release Marcus, though he made it clear that surveillance would continue. As Marcus left the chamber, he looked exhausted but relieved. Princess Zara waited until the corridor was empty before approaching him. Isabella remained hidden, watching this unprecedented interaction between the Emperor's daughter and a human worker. "Are you hurt?" the princess whispered in English, checking Marcus for signs of injury. "I'm fine," Marcus assured her, though his hands were shaking slightly. "You shouldn't be here." "If your father finds out you can speak, he thinks I'm broken," Princess Zara replied quietly. "Better that way. Broken things are ignored." Isabella felt a chill at those words. This young alien girl had learned the same survival tactics that humans used under Imperial rule. Silence is protection. Invisibility is safety. "Why do you care what happens to me?" Marcus asked. Princess Zara was quiet for a long moment, choosing her words carefully. "When Mother died, everyone stopped seeing me as a person. They see an object, a symbol, something to pity or use. But yesterday, you hummed to me like I was just a girl who needed comfort. No one has done that in 3 years. Marcus understood immediately. In a galaxy where every interaction was filtered through politics and power, simple human kindness had become revolutionary. "I have to go." Princess Zara said reluctantly. But Marcus, thank you for treating me like I exist. She disappeared down the corridor, leaving Marcus alone with his thoughts. Isabella waited several minutes before emerging from her hiding spot, her mind racing with new possibilities. That evening, she requested a private meeting with Marcus in the human quarters. The workers' residential section was cramped and poorly maintained, a stark contrast to the Imperial Palace's luxury. Isabella found Marcus in the common area, reading an old Earth book by dim light. "You've made an impression on someone important," Isabella said without preamble. Marcus looked up, recognizing Earth's former queen despite her simple disguise. "Your Majesty? What are you doing here?" "Watching history change," Isabella replied. "The Emperor's daughter spoke to you today, and yesterday. That hasn't happened with anyone in years." Marcus nodded cautiously. "She seems lonely. Lonely and powerful." Isabella corrected. "Princess Zara is heir to the largest empire in known space. If she can remember what it means to be treated with basic humanity, that transformation could echo across 47 star systems." The implications hung in the air between them. Isabella was suggesting something that bordered on treason, using emotional connection to influence imperial policy. "I'm not a spy," Marcus said firmly. "I'm just a mechanic who fixed her father's ship and showed kindness to someone who had forgotten such things existed," Isabella added. "That may be more powerful than any weapon the rebellion possesses." Over the following weeks, a careful routine developed. Princess Zara would find reasons to visit areas where Marcus worked, always maintaining her public silence but stealing moments for quiet conversation. She learned about Earth's history, its music and literature, the dreams humans held for their future. Marcus taught her simple mechanical skills, showing her how to repair basic systems. Her quick intelligence impressed him, and he began to see past her royal status to the curious, thoughtful person beneath. Isabella coordinated these meetings discreetly, ensuring they occurred during security shifts when surveillance was minimal. She also began documenting the princess's growing interest in human culture, sensing an opportunity that could benefit all of humanity. The breakthrough came when Princess Zara requested access to the palace library's restricted human cultural archives. These materials had been sealed since Earth's conquest, deemed potentially subversive by Imperial censors. Emperor Voss was surprised by his daughter's first direct communication in years, even though it came through written request rather than speech. Pleased by any sign of engagement from his traumatized child, he granted access immediately. Princess Zara spent hours reading human poetry, watching stored recordings of Earth's music and art, learning about concepts like democracy, individual rights, and personal freedom. Each discovery sparked new questions that she brought to her secret conversations with Marcus. "Humans choose their own leaders?" she asked during one clandestine meeting in a maintenance tunnel. "We used to," Marcus confirmed. "People voted for representatives who would serve their interests. And if those leaders failed, they could be replaced in the next election. Power belonged to all citizens, not just those born to rule." These ideas fascinated Princess Zara, who had been raised to believe absolute monarchy was the highest form of civilization. Supercriminals started in Paradise to compare the timers of investigation. He suddenly started as if they were fighting with the underground. The rebel fleet that had vanished weeks earlier was planning a major assault on the capital system. If successful, the attack would likely trigger massive retaliation against human populations throughout the Empire. She faced an impossible choice: warn the Imperial authorities and betray the rebellion, or stay silent and watch thousands of humans die in the inevitable reprisals. The decision became more complex when she realized Princess Zara's growing sympathy for humanity might be their only path to long-term survival. Any disruption to the girl's emotional development could set back human rights by decades. Isabella chose a third option. She would warn Marcus and let him decide whether to share the information with Princess Zara. The girl's response would reveal whether her transformation was genuine or merely temporary curiosity. The conversation took place in the same maintenance tunnel where Princess Zara had been learning about human democracy. Isabella joined them there, her face grave with concern. "There's going to be an attack," she told them both. "Rebels are targeting this system. Thousands will die on both sides." Marcus looked stricken. Princess Zara went very still, processing the implications. Father will blame humans, she said quietly, even if they had nothing to do with it. Yes, Isabella confirmed. He'll order reprisals, execution camps, forced relocations, maybe worse. Princess Zara closed her eyes. How many humans live in this system? Nearly 2 million, Isabella answered. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken possibilities. Princess Zara was being asked to choose between loyalty to her father and protection of an entire species. When will the attack come? She asked finally. 3 days, Isabella replied. Maybe 4. Princess Zara stood up abruptly. I need time to think. She left without another word, leaving Marcus and Isabella alone in the tunnel. They both understood the weight of what they had just done, placed the fate of humanity in the hands of a traumatized alien girl who had only recently learned to trust again. The waiting began. Princess Zara spent the next 2 days in apparent normalcy, attending court functions and maintaining her facade of silent observation. But Isabella noticed subtle changes. The girl's eyes tracked human servants with new intensity, and she lingered in areas where human workers were present. On the second night, Princess Zara made her decision. She appeared in her father's private study near midnight, still wearing the simple dress she favored over elaborate court robes. Emperor Voss looked up from military reports, surprised to see his daughter approaching his desk. Zara, he said in their native language. What brings you here so late? Princess Zara took a deep breath and spoke aloud for the first time in 3 years. Father, we need to talk. Emperor Voss dropped his datapad in shock. His daughter's voice was older than he remembered, carrying weight and purpose that hadn't been there before. You're speaking, he whispered, rising from his chair. I have something important to tell you, Princess Zara continued in careful, measured tones. About the rebellion, and about how we can stop unnecessary bloodshed. What followed was the most crucial conversation in the Empire's history, though neither participant fully understood its significance at the time. The rebel attack came exactly as Isabella's intelligence had predicted. Stealth ships emerged from hyperspace at the system's edge, moving toward the capital planet with clear destructive intent. Imperial forces scrambled to respond, but the rebels had chosen their moment well. Most of the fleet was deployed to distant sectors. Emperor Voss stood in the command center, watching tactical displays show the approaching threat. Beside him, Princess Zara maintained calm composure despite the chaos around them. She had shared enough intelligence to enable effective defense without revealing her human sources. The space battle was fierce but brief. Imperial defenses, reinforced by precisely positioned reserve squadrons, managed to repel the attack with minimal casualties on both sides. 3 rebel ships were captured intact, their crews taken alive rather than executed. This merciful treatment shocked the Imperial military, accustomed to their emperor's brutal responses to defiance. The order had come directly from Princess Zara, delivered in her father's name but reflecting her newfound understanding of human values. Isabella watched the aftermath from the palace observation deck, stunned by what she was witnessing. For the first time in Imperial history, mercy was being shown to rebels. Captured crews were being processed for prisoner exchange rather than summary execution. Marcus found her there, still carrying tools from emergency repair work during the battle. She did it, he said quietly. Princess Zara convinced her father to show restraint. This is just the beginning, Isabella replied. If she can maintain this influence... They were interrupted by approaching footsteps. Princess Zara emerged onto the observation deck, no longer hiding her ability to speak. Her public breaking of silence during the crisis had been explained as shock from the battle, allowing her to maintain some protective deception. Isabella, Marcus, she greeted them formally, then switched to a more personal tone. Thank you for helping me understand what was at stake. You saved millions of lives today, Isabella said with genuine respect, both human and imperial. Princess Zara nodded solemnly. This was only possible because you both took the risk of trusting me. Now I need to ask you to trust me further. She outlined her plan for gradual reform within the Empire. Small changes to labor policies, improved conditions for human workers, eventually leading to broader recognition of human rights. It would take years, maybe decades, but it offered hope for peaceful transformation. Marcus listened with growing amazement. The traumatized girl who had sat silently watching him work had become a political visionary capable of reshaping galactic civilization. "There will be opposition," Princess Zara acknowledged. "Many in the Empire believe humans are inferior by nature. Changing those attitudes will require proof that cooperation benefits everyone." Isabella smiled. "That's something humans have always been good at, proving our worth through our actions." As they talked, none of them noticed Emperor Voss watching from a concealed position inside the palace. He had followed his daughter, curious about her sudden transformation and wondering who had influenced such dramatic change. He listened to their conversation with growing understanding. His silent daughter hadn't been broken by trauma. She had been learning, observing, preparing for the moment when she could make a difference. The human mechanic and the former Earth Queen had simply provided the catalyst for her emergence. Emperor Voss faced his own moment of choice. He could arrest the conspirators and return to traditional imperial policies, or he could support his daughter's vision of a more inclusive empire. The decision would define his legacy and the future of 47 star systems. He chose to step forward into the light. "Princess Zara," he said formally, causing all three conspirators to freeze. "I believe we need to discuss your plans for imperial reform in greater detail." The conversation that followed lasted until dawn, as father and daughter negotiated the future of the galaxy with input from two humans who had dared to dream of something better. By morning, the foundation had been laid for the most significant political transformation in imperial history. Marcus returned to his mechanical duties, but now his work carried new meaning. Every ship he repaired, every system he maintained, represented a step toward a future where humans and aliens could coexist as equals rather than masters and servants. Princess Zara began her public emergence as a political force, carefully balancing reform initiatives with respect for imperial traditions. Her voice, silent for 3 years, became the most powerful advocate for change in the known galaxy. Isabella resumed her official role as human representative, but now she worked within a system moving toward justice rather than simply managing oppression. The impossible dream of human dignity within the Empire was becoming reality. The transformation didn't happen overnight. Years of careful political maneuvering, gradual policy changes, and persistent advocacy were required to shift attitudes across 47 star systems. But the foundation established in those crucial days proved strong enough to support lasting change. Marcus often reflected on the moment when Princess Zara first applauded his repair work silently. Such a simple gesture had grown into something that reshaped galactic civilization. It proved that sometimes the most powerful revolutions begin with the smallest acts of human kindness. The Empire still existed, but it had become something its founders never imagined. A partnership of species working toward mutual prosperity rather than a hierarchy maintained through force. Princess Zara, no longer silent, had found her voice and used it to speak for those who had been voiceless. In the end, humanity's greatest victory came not through military conquest, but through the patient cultivation of understanding and compassion. A traumatized alien girl, a humble human mechanic, and a dedicated former queen had proven that even the most rigid systems could be transformed by those brave enough to trust in each other's essential goodness. The galaxy would never be the same.